I think it's safe to say we are going to get a big storm moving in. Let's get some garden stuff prepped. I have one thing left to do and hunker down. All right, so animals are all put away. Everybody's good, hopefully. Greenhouse is closed. And I put a tarp over my carrots I planted the other day because it's not going to take much to wash them away. So, not sure if it'll make a difference, but going to do what we can. Thunder's here, rain is here. Time to head inside. Gonna hit us fast, I think. All right, so we got about 1.5 inches of rain in a little under an hour. Let's see how it looks. The path, I've got to get a solution for the path. It's the lowest area, so it obviously collects water. It also is the area that I tend to put stuff, which is a bad combo. I put the hoses out here, haven't moved them, so tripping hazard and flood hazard, basically. This is the area I'm most concerned about. I have to come up with a solution for this. Not exactly sure what to do. The south side looks pretty good. I think, honestly, the weed block makes a huge difference. If I look at the areas with the tomatoes, I can walk through here. It's not soft. The tomatoes obviously look pretty beat, but it's not bad. I think the excess water drains off. And then, of course, it sits down in something like this. So, obviously, that's going to be the place that holds water, which makes sense. The path, again, there's nothing holding the water here, so it kind of sits. It's not terrible. There's some soft spots. These tend to be areas that I have in the past not properly dealt with, but overall, they're not terrible. It needs to be weeded, that needs to be cleaned up, but there's at least not standing water like there is up in front of the greenhouse, which is kind of cool. Inside the greenhouse, it's not terrible. It's definitely an area that I need to work on. So when I put this greenhouse up, my goal was to get it up as quickly as I could. So I had it for the winter. That was where the rabbits were. That was where the hay was. So I've never really, I guess, dealt with some of the challenges. One of them is that this area out here, which we'll look at in a minute, basically is the drainage area that flows through. So it flows right through here. So I end up with a lot of standing water here. And then that area basically continues through the side of the greenhouse and sits right here. I'm not terribly worried about it because obviously the water for the stuff in here is great. They don't get other water other than what I give them. So areas where I can provide that extra water, I think, is a bonus. The biggest issue is those times where it actually happens, where I have puddles. But then the other reason why I'm not terribly worried about dealing with it is that this is not going to be the greenhouse next year. This is going to be other beds. So I'm going to take some pictures of where the water is pooling, where I know I need to solve some issues, and specifically kind of that line that goes through here, and see, is it in the middle of beds? Is it in paths? Is it something that I can build up and deal with a solution to the next area? So the east side of the greenhouse has always been the worst area. It's always been low. It doesn't show as much right now because of the weed block, but let's take a look. So these are the areas where I planted some peppers on the weekend. They're basically submerged. This area with beans, if you look at that, basically just sitting in mud. The closer you move over into this area right here, so this area kind of up towards the stuff that I'm taking apart up there, I'll show you in a second. Down here is basically just standing water. And there's really not a whole lot I can do unless I regrade the whole thing. That's what that looks like. The cucumbers, I mean, it's basically mud. Part of that is because of how the chickens, the meat birds, were set up in this area. It never really had a chance to dry out. It's also kind of a little bit of a basin here. So it comes through this area with really nowhere to drain. But the result is that I have areas with the beans that are basically submerged. So I got to figure out something for that. Probably not going to be this year, but on the list. The area with the rabbits overall is on high ground. This little section here is a little low. Nothing I'm going to be able to fix because really it's starting to rain again. It's an area for this area here. So I just stepped into beans, went down about 4 inches. Cucumbers. Trying to run through this quick because it's going to pick up and I think it's going to pour. This is my problem area. So this is standing water most of the time. It is obviously a low area. It's also an area that I don't have an easy solution to. I think I've come up with something. It involves changing the layout basically of the chicken coop, which is right in front of us now, and this area here, so that that area there doesn't flood. The challenge for me is that if I just raise this area, then all of that water goes into the greenhouse, which obviously doesn't solve anything. Even though the greenhouse won't be there next year, it still doesn't solve anything. So I have a couple of solutions for that. One of them actually is going to be to look out in the yard past this and come up with some creative options to kind of stop the water. So I'll talk about that in a future video, but for now, it's raining. It's raining again. Overall, things look good. Honestly, I think the weed block has been a game changer for this. I think that the weed block doesn't let it pool in areas that it normally would. So the outcome of that is that it actually doesn't flood in areas where it might normally. It gives water to the individual plants. Plants are very happy, especially on the south side here. Things are really going to take off in the next week, but beyond that, issues to deal with. But I'm going to stop rambling and go inside because the rain's picking up and I don't want to get soaking wet again. See you soon. If you have ideas, suggestions, questions, let me know. Thanks for watching. I know I said I was done, but I cannot help but share this gorgeous post-storm sky. You can still hear the leaves, the wind. The animals are out, the frogs are out. And you can still hear the sound of water as it goes down towards the creek. Pretty awesome. See you soon.